So, recording is started now. And I'm just gonna put on my Discord, you're on video, smile for the camera if you join. Okay. So, let's start with Haggle Rain. So, I remember you saying something about not liking your comp here. Just looking at it, I'm going to compare it with the comp you ran for game 2.
We did try Wellstring here.
Okay.
For the sake of trying it.
I see. Honestly, the comp that you're using, you have strikes, you have crab, you have like a decent number of ways to get in. You have weapons that can push in with the cooler. You have a dually and stamper. So like those are weapons that take space. You have a weapon that paints the zap. You're hitting all the pieces that you need. So it doesn't look like anything like, oh, you have like 4 chargers, who pushes, or anything like that. Or like, oh, 4 blasters, who the hell is painting? Like, you have all the like individual things you need. So let's see how exactly they go in a comp setting. I guess one thing that I might predict happening is with the opponent's brush and try, honestly, they're both weapons that really want to like kite people away from what they want to do. So like try is just able to sort of run in with cooler and then get a trade or two. Brush is something that likes doing the same, but also is like able to play on one of the flanks and just stay there for like 30 seconds. You also probably get pop here if you do. The Stamper gets special from it. Yeah, notice how the brush kind of just runs in here. So how does our charger die here? There are 2 things that happen. First, the brush gets in. And second, the brush isn't stopped before it gets to the charger. So, let's see. Our charger sets up top right.
Yeah, we didn't.
So a couple things. The charger sets up top right at start, but then rotates in. And whenever you rotate as a charger, you're going to have a little bit of time there where you're not going to have a charge. That's an opportunity for the opponent to hit you. A couple things that can mitigate that. For ZF specifically, you have a wall. I wonder if throwing that proactively when you set up here might have helped. I think if you're wanting to set up in this mid area to like contest their pencils range, then I think, sorry, you're going to hear an alarm on the recording, whoopsies. But yeah, so having your charger just sit bottom mid at start might also help. And then yeah, I guess just it felt like no one was quite ready to pre-fire mid. And so they were just able to slip in there. Notice how there's another person here who tries going into mid, and it takes a while for a dually to rotate back and start watching it. Almost kills Corey for it. You're able to pick off the try, so you're eventually able to find that sightline. Meanwhile, on the left, okay, let's see. Why does our Stamper drop initially? So after you get pop, what happens? Okay, after you get pop, everyone's looking mid. After a little bit of time, the Stamper drops left and then starts painting. Notice how because you dropped left first, you didn't know that the Gluga was going to be watching here. And, okay, didn't mean to drop. Yeah, happens. Let's see. I think after you drop down here, especially when you see the brush, it's like there are 2 people here. I think you playing your range here is fine. What happens is you start moving into the brush. I know you're doing it like on a ledge, but even still, you're like reducing the distance between yourself and the brush, and so that's how it's able to actually pick you off here. Honestly, I would try to just get as far away physically from them as possible, and either like try to hold that space, try to bait more of their resources into you, or jump out to a teammate or to spawn even. So here, 2v3. We both back up a whale. Well, correction. Okay, so your team does two different things here in this. So, JAS moves back. Corey sees a whale, tries moving back up forward. I want to look at this from their perspective. Notice how 20 seconds have passed and you're just getting a cooler now. I want to talk about that after this game. Notice how they've had a cooler for a while. It's already there. Whenever, after you got the kill in the try, your camera angle has been on the left. And so, you don't really know what's in mid right now. When you squid roll back, that squid roll is, putting you into, like, the range of the brush, the pencil here. And whenever you go back towards mid, you cooler and then start, like, looking around to see, okay, what is here that I can actually, like, paint or kill. They were able to get a lot of, even though you just killed the try, because they had the whale up, they had a special out in that area, and so that's how they were able to get a lot of space here. I think it caught you off guard because their camera angle was not watching mid, it was watching the side. After your teammate went down, Jazz goes in for the cooler. Rai was supporting with fire, and so you're able to get a pick there. Notice how they wailed, they got a pick on your zap, which is your main painter, and so even though Rai's giving supporting fire here, they're just able to overwhelm. Matu drops down right early, jumps out. Okay. So, I noticed that, what is it? I saw you on mute. What did you say? Sorry. Hold on. Discord's dumb. Okay, I can hear you now, I think.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I was just going to say, not my best crab. I've just felt awkward position-wise.
Why did it feel awkward?
They just all huddled below the center.
Okay, so what space do you want to get, like, clear with this crab tank?
Main thing, I'm just hoping to back them off the pedestal and get them into mid.
Okay.
Just push them away from. So I could have probably crabbed behind the pedestal.
Do you mean, like, dropping down and then crabbing there?
I mean, like, where Rai is, just to get them away from it. I feel like I got too greedy with this crab here, because it was just where they could have easily just hit away from it with where they were.
So, I agree with you that they can hide under right side if you crab from top right. Could they not do the same thing if you're crabbing from mid? Because that's also, they're also hiding from Rai from that position.
Would, like, the ramps be better?
That would be able to look towards the far right, I believe. So if you maybe have someone, like, paint you in on left, and then your crab tank's on the far left, then that can create some decent pressure, I think. Yeah. Yeah, because, like, if you're looking for, like, displacing the opponent and pushing them away from a spot with crab, you really want flat. You want flatness. The crab from top right is often if you're, like, looking towards mid already. It's sort of the standard spot to do it for zones because you can start hitting into the zone. But in this situation, you're wanting to get into your own side rather than into mid. Like, you don't have your side yet. And so crabbing from bottom left would mean that you get that. The crab's still able to stall surprisingly well. Corey's able to go in left side with it and check the right side, clear it out. After your crab finishes, you keep fighting into a spot where you didn't have paint, and so the glue was just able to back up and use its range to kill you there. Let's see. Good shot. Yeah, that flank on far right is something that's I don't think it's there on tower. It's definitely not there on zones. It's a really weird thing to check. I would say if anyone's like watching it, Rye would be a good choice. I like that you took Rain here and started moving it forward. I do want to mention, having this area on bottom right unpainted means that later in the game, they might be able to do the same. So if that happens again in this match, then that might be something to consider. But I understand not painting it now since you're focused on moving into mid. Let's see. Claims in rain, yeah. So here, you're all coolered up. JS is painting for a crab, it seems. They're at 70%. Madu and Rai are all sort of backed up. So notice how your teammates are playing for a crab, they're a charger, or they're the Rainmaker. With Matu being the one who grabbed Rainmaker, it means that you have less forward pressure here. So I guess, like, you have better shots behind cover. Like, Rainmaker has decent AoE, but it cannot fight in, like, close range quarters like Stamper can. And so it means that with this cooler, you don't have as many players who can push up and really take engagements. I want to notice here how, when you're moving into mid like this, you don't have any specials that are going off on your side. And so notice how the pencil was sort of just sitting here for that entire time and was able to put off like a lot of shots, even if they didn't land a single shot here. They're still putting paint down against you, Corey. And so with you squid rolling back forward towards the opponent, they're able to pick you off here. I forget, Corey, were you a Carbon player back in the day? Or were you something else? I'm assuming a non-shooter of some kind. Okay, still rollers. I guess one of the main things I'm noticing is you're squid rolling a lot into the opponent, and do you know sort of like what jumping does? Like why jumping is sometimes seen as like a very committal option? Okay. Squid rolling is very similar. It gives you that burst of movement, so like some people, like at the beginning of the game, people thought it was like going to be really, really good for that, but honestly, substrafing is able to be like as effective as that, in my opinion, for most situations, while keeping you grounded, and so that means that you can change where you're going at any time. So I do wonder if you could like try to implement more substrafing or main strafing just into the training area before you like queue up into a game, and see if that creates a difference with like how often you're getting caught in these situations up front. Very Bad squid rolling habit. I don't know from where. It happens. I guess just rather than like just saying like don't squid roll, don't squid roll. There's a time for it. I just think that like having as a default sub strafing, or because you're playing a shooter, main strafing, are really nice options. So I do want to bring up in this same situation from Jess. Yes, you have to crab. However, you have a charger that's firing forward. The charger has strikes. The Rainmaker is being held and firing forward. Okay, so you're able to see the inkjet go off here. So I understand not going in with this. Yeah. I think if you were going to go in there, then you'd be penciled and inkjet to death. So Rye holds their strikes until Corey goes down, and then uses them here. Notice how whenever you try to push Rainmaker through the strikes, all they did was just back up very slightly and then kill Rainmaker. Strikes are a special that can often like move the opponent or like smoke screen your aggros in. Because like if they see this gigantic vortex on the screen, they can't really see that much else. So when you strike here, you striked when you were one down, and so that means there are fewer players that can get in with that smoke screen. Realistically, because your Rainmaker was also one of them, it was just your Dooley that could go in with that. They booyah'd and they wailed after an inkjet had just finished. They've used 3 specials now, and so that means that the opponent has a lot of momentum. They've used every single resource they have, because they also have Cooler Up. Wait, yeah. They've used Booyah, they've used Whale, Inkjet, and Cooler. And so when we push up here into the right side, the Rainmaker is just going to be deleted instantly. The opponents use a lot of specials, so that means they have a lot of space. Similarly with the Crab Tank, it's just a very forward spot for it to be. And there's no one else that they need to look at. There's no other angle. And so they're all able to just sort of focus in all their fire in this one spot and then shred it instantly. I think this was largely timing. The opponent had a lot of specials up, you didn't, and your zap had just went down, and so you tried going in after that, but they already had so much resources that they were able to just push back harder, or like wait for you to push into them and then just kill you there. If you have Cooler, you don't need to feel like, okay, we use this special, we have to all go in with this now, even if, like, you have one person down. Sometimes it's just better to wait. For Rye, that might mean, like, holding strikes until you're all ready, and then, like, your Dually or Stamper start an engagement somewhere. Or, like, say they want to go into a place, then you strike them in. For Corey, that might mean just, like, waiting for one of those specials to come out before pushing in. For, your Dually and Stamper, it might just mean, like, waiting for your teammate to respawn, waiting for the other specials to die down before continuing your aggression. Here the brush comes in on right. That's another situation where Ra was really far forward and didn't have a wall up, and so the brush was able to recognize that and then pick you off for it. So Corey's able to get a Cooler here. Notice how the area on right wasn't painted, and so the brush was just able to move in on right side again. I just want to watch that again. So, especially on disadvantage on defense like this, if the far right isn't painted, the first person watching that, at least IMO, will be the backline or the support. So Corey or Rye watching the far right. Because Corey was first up on the respawn, I understand why Corey was watching left and mid, just to prevent Rainmaker from going in. But it does seem like this brush caught all of you off guard. Whenever you're on the respawn screen, using the map, can show you sort of which areas the opponent has, like what options they have to try to push into you. On Hagglefish, yeah, the main angle is through the like checkpoint hopping over, but the flank still exists. It is a long flank, so if you watch one of them there, then it's hard for them to come up and approach you. But if you don't watch it, then something like this can happen where the brush can just run up behind you and be very explosive. The only reason it didn't get a kill on Corey here is because it ran out of ink. In other words, the brush fucked up here. So. Also, as far as dropping down here, when you saw the brush, you were really scattered. The dually immediately rolled to the right. Notice how your second roll put you closer to the opponent. And whenever you roll back again here, matchup-wise, you were against a weapon that's good against ledges. And so they were still able to pick you off here. Especially against brush, rolling once away from it is usually fine. Furthermore, like... I guess the main thing is, like, you're killed off here because you didn't have paint where you dropped because you were not aware of the flank as well. Oh, okay. So you see the try here. You see something here. Willing to live for the...
I rolled away instinctively because I realized I was getting hurt from the brush, and so that was an instinctual thing to get away from the brush.
Right. This makes sense. Yeah, I guess it's a combination of the far right was painted in the opponent's color and the brush flanked you. The combination of those things made it so that, like, if you rolled closer to the brush here, you might have gotten killed by fall off. If you moved closer to the try, then, well, it's a try, so. I noticed how you kept trying to fight here, even though it was a situation where the opponent had a big advantage. Like, they had flanked you, and then you had to put yourself in a tight spot. I wonder if trying to do, like, 2 rolls forward, like, into right mid, might have helped. Just to force the try to watch back behind itself, rather than, like, being able to just hold its ground and still fire at you. So here, Stamper's able to get a pick here. You see your teammate on right. You drop first, and then you look to the right side. What is here? You still don't quite know. If this try was more ready for someone to drop on it, it could have easily, like, just kept fighting you and been in its optimal range. Dropping into a tri-slosher, or, like, closing the distance between one, is often going to spell a trade at best between you and the try. Especially since you didn't have any paint here around you. Even as an aggressive weapon, look first and then drop, it lets you, like, align your reticle with any opponents that are there, see what's there. If there are, like, 3 there, then you might not want to drop, and so forth. Okay. All that said, George is able to get a pick here, and then be able to trade off, and then the crab on top left has a really good flat sightline, and so you're able to just use that to get a lot of space here. Yeah, so you're able to win most of your own side. Ooh. Okay. The thing that happened there was you all moved up really, really quickly. The brush saw an opportunity where, like, there was an unpainted way for it to get into you and close the distance. The fact that that got 2 of you especially is concerning on the retake, because it means you're already on the back foot again. Um, Even if you get like a wipe, generally that only means that you're getting up to mid. The way that Corey took this fight was moving up first and then starting to shoot rather than playing to their range. And so it wasn't playing to Zap's advantages over Brush. Like Zap outranges Brush. Same with the Stamper. So I think just playing to like deny it space in mid and forcing it to back up would mean that you can continue contesting mid rather than both going down here. Also, this is a situation where one of your aggressive weapons, the dualies, took Rainmaker instead of Rai. And so that means that when you go to down here, one, you didn't have as many people painting forward in front of Rain, but also now you only have like backline-ish weapons that can really defend here. And so you're forced to take it on the far left. Okay, so you trade here. When you were 2 down, you dropped down from Tarp. I don't know if that was unintentional, but it resulted in you being in range of an opponent when they had a special out and they had teammates with them. And so mechanics-wise also, it took a little while for your reticle to adjust against the dually. I wonder how much you've how much experience you've had playing the Stamper dually matchup. But either way, this the drop is a little bit unfortunate here, just since even if you get a kill here, they just had an inkjet up, and then like when you jump here, there's an inkjet ready, there's a booyah ready. They pop the inkjet, they pop the booyah, and you drop into all of it. And so the pencil, you don't know if the pencil's set up yet. It wasn't, but it was still a concern. So I guess it's another situation of like, if your teammates are down, if you don't have like specials to go in, if the opponent has specials up, like they have a lot of advantages there. So it's okay to just sort of like sit back, relax, let them like hold the ground that they have, hold the space that you do, and then wait for like you to get more advantages later. So like if one of your teammates makes a play and tries to flank, or if someone gets a special, or if they just respawn, like that gives you more advantages. It gives you more angles to work with. I noticed Corey and Jazz are starting to go on the right side and actually paint it. You clear it out and you're able to get a kill from it. I noticed that both of you are trying to stay in this spot. I like that Corey rotates around. Is there a cooler down there? Huh. That's a really... I've never seen that cooler placement. Notice how it forced Madu to back up fully from where they were on snipe and move to the far right. And that's able to let the brush get in here. So... Also, I want to mention, they just had a whale that finished up. And so you're already chipped a little bit from that. And there was the visual noise, so it made it more difficult to align for the brush itself. And so it was able to run in here. I like the wall placement on the left. Just want to double check this. I think neither Corey nor Jazz dropping means that there's no one stopping the brush just from trying to do this and get a trade on the charger. And like, even though you're able to pick it off, not having any like bodies physically defending the charger, like in front of it, meant that they were able to sort of just get past a lot of your shots. I want to talk about the difference between this crab now and the crab from before. Where right now you have Madu and Corey dropping from bottom left and one string bottom right. So you're able to clear bottom left, you're able to clear bottom right. And so your crab's able to get a lot of space and force them out from mid to back up. So while mid's backing up, you can clear your own side. It sort of separates the opponent into two halves. The one that's like closer to you, which Madu and Corey are dealing with, and then the one further back, which Jas is dealing with the crab. Right. How does this brush get in? Okay. This feels like another situation where Corey moved forward first and then started trying to paint. So here, you see Madu on the right side. You try to go in right with that. But then the brush was like really, really close to contest that paint. And so it made it it had a path to get into still. I think especially when trying to retake in a situation like this, you're 90% of the way to cooler. And you have a crab up, so you have a lot of advantages here. I think you can afford to take it slowly. You tried going in very, very quickly on the right side when Madu was the range from Stamper was already meaning that bottom right was contested. But because no one was watching the left side, that's where the brush went in. So Madu going far right here, it does a couple things. It draws the opponent's attention to right side instead of mid. But let's see. Should have jumped. I feel like when you're moving in this situation, like you have a crab that's watching mid. You know there's one going far right. And you kill the one that's far right. Here, honestly, I think you might just move back to mid here. Because, like, here you're committing all the way to going on the right flank. But this, from this area, the pencil can see you very clearly. And also, with Corey's callouts, like, hey, there's a brush in mid, they got me. Like, mid's sort of a bigger priority than Rainmaker right now. Where even if you pop this, who can actually grab it? You don't have space around it. And then when you drop down here, the brush is just under you. I do wonder, if, like, if you got mid properly. So, like, I guess if Corey didn't die in mid, then you could have zipped the cast right side, like, from here, instead of popping rain, zip the right and focus the pencil. What that would do is, it would mean that you're only fighting the pencil. The brush can't reach a zip caster no matter where it is on the map. And that would mean that your teammates don't have to deal with a long range weapon, it only has to deal with a brush. So that means that all of you are able to, like, move in a lot faster into mid. And you're a lot safer against the pencil shots, and they're not painting around as much. They have to focus on the zip first. Because here it sort of feels like you're like dropping into a position that you don't know is safe or not, trying to get away from the long range. And so that I guess, like, Yeah, I don't think jumping's necessarily the option here. If you wanted to jump to Rye, that would be like, that would still be giving up a decent amount of space where you pushed up, you killed the Gluga. And so I think getting a bit more space from that is a valid idea. I just think if you're trying to do it from right side, you can zip cast to try to pressure the pencil more. Or you could do it from mid just with your main weapon and paint up. So then Jazz could try to go in there. Charger gets a kill. With the crab, you're able to push into right side. You force them to lose Rainmaker, which is nice. I like that Corey's painting using a range here. They've been moving on the right side. Notice how whenever everyone like rotated from left to right, it meant that the Gluga was able to move in left. I want to mention with Matu here, you tried to vertical slash for the Rainmaker here, to also try to get away from the Charger. Remember, you don't need to get all that much damage on the Rainmaker immediately. You still have to get it to 25. There's a lot of space. That's a very precise jump. I don't even know if that's possible. Like going from the balloon, behind the balloon to the right side. Either way, even if you make that, if the Rainmaker almost pops, then you're probably going to get bonked off anyways. Right? Also, I think, like, one potential solution to the Gluga dropping left here. So, there are a couple things you could do here. You could have Jazz or Corey bomb the top left. You could have Rai continue watching left, but that is, having Rai watch it is a little inconsistent just because you don't know how many people are dropping. If like they paint it first, then that means they have a lot of options if they get a special on top left, like an inkjet. But one thing that's really, really helpful there is having a weapon that can hit below ledges. So Stamper's one of those weapons. Stamper, Wiper, Sloshers, Blasters, they love sitting under the tarp. They're able to get so much pressure there and just completely deny that spot from the opponent. So I think if Madu was sitting there, it would help out for left side, so then both Rai and Madu will be fighting it, instead of just Rai. Sits here. This Gluga gets killed, but it forces both of you back really far. And also with the Rainmaker itself. I don't know if grabbing it here is the right option, just because they had a lot of players that were alive and able to pre-fire you. And you didn't really have your teammates like forward enough to be able to safely grab checkpoint here. You didn't have any like bombs on their ramp or like up front. And so like there wasn't that much pressure on them, so they could just start firing at you. In general, if it's not safe enough for Rai to grab Rainmaker, then I don't think anyone should be grabbing. Furthermore, unless very weird circumstances happen, Rai grabbing Rainmaker is generally the best option for this comp, just because it lets the rest of you like keep up forward pressure while the Rainmaker shots happen. If anyone but Rai grabs, then that means that you have a Rainmaker, two like weapon. Yeah, you have Rainmaker and then two transformation specialists versus a cooler. And if your cooler grabs, then that means that your zap is able to paint forward, it's not able to kill forward. If one of the transformation specialists pick up Rainmaker, or I guess What I'm saying is, if Rye doesn't grab Rainmaker and then you crab or you zipcast, there's only one person who can push up with it. The Rainmaker and the Charger cannot, safely. It's only like a positional thing that they can do. They can't really like set up as easily, or like they can't like push in and take the space. So here with your zipcast, it's happening after Okay, that's a really good zipcast. You focus the Charger first, which I really like. The Charger was forced to reposition here, and you're actually able to get a kill on it. And then, after you get the pick on the Charger, then you focus on a different target. While Corey and Jas take different angles. Corey goes left, Jas goes right. And we're able to begin taking space here. I do wonder if this crab is a little early because you don't have the checkpoint yet. Because now, when you get checkpoint, you don't have any specials that prolong your push. Just takes Rainmaker here. This is a desperation play. Remember, you have 5 seconds still. You still have an entire minute of overtime. You don't need to take Rainmaker instantly to get this forward. Because they've respawned by that point. Notice how the pencil is just able to set top right and pick all of you off when you're like panicking and trying to get forward. I think one of the main things I'm noticing is like as a team, there's just a lot of like sort of desperation plays happening. Like you recognize that a flank's happening, and then or like you see like you've gotten like a bit of an advantage, and so you try to go in as far as possible. Like even areas that aren't painted your color, and so that means that the opponent's able to pick you off pretty quickly. Or like you're moving very, very quickly to get to mid, and so you don't paint the off angle, and so they get a flank in later in the game. Or you want Rainmaker to be pushed up as far as possible, as fast as possible, and so one of your aggro weapons take it, which ironically makes it so you have less pressure to forward that can get the Rainmaker forward. Alright. Let's go to the next game. Actually, before we do, I want to ask how all of you are doing, what sort of questions you have so far. I know I've sort of like rambled for 40 straight minutes. Does the stuff that I said make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I will admit I was getting desperate near the end because I was just scared of like them grabbing it in overtime. So it's just like someone has to grab it in these next 5 seconds. And that's probably why I also crabbed early, was because I was like, I should just burn my special so I can. Probably should have just been more relaxed about it.
I think...
And then me, that jump just led to the loss.
Yeah, I think especially when you're playing with a backline, you probably have like from solo queue, you might have like a lot of experience of, oh, we all like pushed forward and then we left Rainmaker. If you're playing with a backline, that almost never happens. They're usually the one who just grabs it by default.
I see.
So, I think one thing that might help with that is trying to play open. It could just be hold on, your name in Discord is the chef, and I don't know what that means. Okay, Jazz.
You could just call me Jazz.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah, I saw the True and the Chef, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is a good team. But I digress. Yeah, so you could just play with your, who is this? This is Riot. Okay, okay. You could play open just with Riot or with additional players from your team. So like maybe all 4 of you. You can make like sort of a rule in that practice that only Rye can take Rainmaker, no matter what. Even if like you lead if someone else took it, like for that like open session or whatever, just trying to get into a habit of where's Rai, how can we get Rai to take Rainmaker, what are the things preventing Rai from moving up, because I think in all modes, if you're able to set your backline up forward, that's like a big win condition for backline teams. If you're not able to get your backline set up forward, then that means that you have less support on the front line, since you have a backline instead of a front line they can push up. So like that applies whether you have like a pencil that can just sit on like top mid on museum, for example, and just paint their plat. That applies for if you have a leader that can just sit on like an open area and just wiggle their laser and get kills randomly. That applies for the like Wellstring, which just wants to like get a lot of chip damage forward. As far as like whether to play the custom Wellstring or the vanilla Wellstring, in Rainmaker, I'm honestly like, I feel like the stamp one might be a little bit better here. I'm not sure though. Like, having a bomb is nice on Rainmaker, even if your object damage is already so high. And the stamp can mean you have damage denial. It's sort of like a bootlegging fac, where if you use it on
Can
the...
I explain?
Yeah. Yeah, go for it.
I was going to explain why we picked custom specifically was because we realized this comp was flank heavy, and we thought having a location weapon as well as the heavy object damage, and again, to try Wellstring, we just thought it would work with this comp we're fighting specifically.
That's fair. I think, as I said in the last game, like, one of the big things with flanking, even with brush, like, if you don't have the off angles painted, then that means that you don't know if they're flanking or not. If you have them painted, and then you flick the map open, and then you see, oh, that's a blue color, that's not a red color, that means there was a blue person here. Like, that can be very telling of, okay, there's someone flanking. But I understand wanting point sensor or Wavebreaker in that situation. I understand the adaptation. Yeah, fair enough. Alright. Okay, first thing as a coach, we're gonna watch this back again. Okay. Rai and Jaspuyod. Alright, I just wanted to make sure that I just saw Rai Buyod and I was like, if no one Buyod you back, then are you really a team? But I digress. Spent a lot of time killing the Dapple here, but I like how Madu was prioritizing using range. I do wonder if you could force the Dapple out by using a bomb behind the cover. But that's sort of a micro adjustment. I think the bigger problem here is it mainly just, it took all four of you watching left in order for that Dapple to die. And then you all started moving forward into mid first, and then trying to find the opponents. If they have a brush, if they have a shot, then they might already be right next to you. So I guess, like, when you get that kill on the left, yeah, Corey moved in for the brush after it had revealed itself. I guess the main thing is for Jas to sort of maybe paint a little bit more, like 1 or 2 sloshes, just to sort of like censor out what's in mid, rather than moving to the tip of your paint and then starting to slosh from there, because that could have led to worse. You're able to take a team fight with Corey up front, which is good. Zuka from that angle, yeah, that's the standard angle to Zuka from. You get 2 from it. They weren't prepared for it. Notice how everyone here is watching Rainmaker. So when Corey comes back here, there's not that much space to actually move into them. Yeah, and I guess, like, not being able to get that close to it as a carbon meant that, the, like, horizontal slash against Izuka wasn't able to, be enough damage. I think a vertical slash probably could have killed there. And then the Dapple also got in. So if we watch from respawn, the Dapple's dropping left side. And the Dapple's able to pick off Rainmaker. So one of the main things with Humpback is if you have like a 2 or 3 down situation with Rainmaker popped on the right, then sometimes you can just ignore whoever's in mid and run past them. But if you're in a situation where their pencil's set up, they're sort of stalling it out, it's so much harder to do that. And so because of that, if you have no one watching left, then they're going to be able to basically just come in like that. As far as the adaptations, okay, I want to say with both Korizuka and the Sync Strike, they're both happening before you're getting Rainmaker, and so, or before you have it in a position where you can move it forward. Corey's Zuko is happening before you get the pop, and so even though you got 2 kills, by the time you popped Rainmaker, the pencil was sitting back up on the top right again, and so it was able to paint you out. And then for the strikes, they were happening after the Dapple was in mid, and so they had already gotten the Rainmaker scattered. So I think holding specials for a little bit longer might have helped. Additionally, having someone watch mid and make sure that it's painted. So let's see. So whenever you initially pop Rainmaker and take it here, notice how Maru's the one who's taking Rain towards the right. In this situation, you have pretty much everything on the right side. I wonder if someone might be able to ping the left here while you're taking Rain to the right. Probably Rai, just because generally, like, you're not going to lose that much on damage if the bow is on the left for a little bit and then it goes to right to partial shot the Rainmaker. Additionally, it's sort of just default for a backline to watch a flank because it's not able to push forward as much, and so it's more concerned about consolidating its position. Yeah, I guess currently I'm like thinking about whether it will be best for the Zap to take Rainmaker or not when you're trying to take it to first check when like Zap's your only shooter here, and so it's probably your best paint for taking like the mid area or like denying flanks to left. On one hand, I think if someone else was taking Rainmaker there, then you could still have bombs on the right side while the Zap paints a little bit on left. So like you'd still have similar pressure on the right, but you'd be able to prevent the flank. That said, I understand like the Slosher and Carbon want to take forward space really quickly, and the bow also wants to make sure that the area up front is safe first. So for this defense, Corey Shark's sort of forward. He's able to pick off Rainmaker and then pick off the shot. I guess I want to mention that if the shot didn't Zuki here, then while you showed yourself for the Rainmaker, it could have fired some shots into you. I wonder if focusing the shot first might have been... Maybe. I guess I just worry about the shot just painting you out here. But it worked out. So here, Rai's able to pair up with Jess and pick off the brush. Corey wants to move right side. Notice how when your Zap takes Rainmaker here instead of the bow, you don't have as much pain on the right. And so Corey's having to play on the left side. And doesn't have that much space to move, and so isn't able to really get in where they want to go. Stapple's causing a lot of problems. I think for Jazz specifically, trying to play to your range against the Dapple is paramount. You started trying to move sideways against the Dapple, which means that it can just kind of roll forward and then suddenly you're in its range. Yeah, I guess it's just really hard for Corey to get in here because there's just not enough pain on the ground since the Zap took Rainmaker. So you're able to pick off the Dapple together. I like that Madu played to the range of their paint rather than like playing at the tip of their paint. So then when the brush popped out, then they were already spaced out properly. When you Zuko on the right side, you didn't have any paint around you, and so that meant that anyone sharking was able to get in. Taking Rainmaker in a situation like that, you're not going to have as much fighting power, and you're also an easy target for them, since you have to charge up your shots. Furthermore, there's not that much paint in mid, and so your Slosher and Carbon aren't able to do that much in mid until you get that paint down. As far as who to target Corey, you went for the Dapple first. In this situation, they didn't see you and they went past you, rather than the shot who was like right in front of you and might have painted you out. In this situation, the Dapple wasn't concerned about you. I wonder if you sharked longer there, then you could have killed the Rainmaker and the Zuka before they got checked. So I guess, like, in that situation, your position wasn't being compromised by the opponent painting over you. And so focusing objective there might have been better. Zuka from mid is unfortunate. Madu tries taking a fight up front, rather than protecting Rai's position. So when your Carbon's down, when your Slosher's down, you're fighting without main advantage, and you're fighting also without paint, because the Dapple's already painted a decent amount here. And then Rise further forward because they're trying to help follow up with what the Zap's doing. And so the Dapple's just able to run in and get a quad. So here they take lead. I like that Jas went top left. They were just already set up there. Good trade from Mario. I like the Justice using your range here. You're able to pick off the Dabble, but the Reef Slide is one occurred. I guess as far as top left, it's just difficult if you like fully wipe to go back to top left because like they'll already be sitting below it. So bombing under there, using your shots at range, using the block that's there, just to make sure that they can't immediately fire at you, can all be helpful. It is slower, which means that they will likely get more points, but it means that you're less likely to die. Since if you die, then that means they'll get a push to 18 rather than, like, say, 20 or so. We're rotating far left. Yeah, I guess until you get a special, it's hard for Ray to really move in here. With the Zuka, you're able to, though. Yeah, especially with Zuka, have to watch the bottom right. Have to watch below the ledges, since, yeah. I guess, like, that... Let's see. Yeah, you were already sort of damaged from that, and I wonder if you would have went to snipe, you might have been able to pick off the pencil as well. Because remember, with your Zuka, the main thing that you're able to hit then that you're not able to before is weapons that outrange, like, weapons with a lot of range that are, like, able to hold their position well. So Rainmaker is one of them, the backline is another. So the pencil is one of the best things that you can kill with Rainmaker, or Zuka, sorry. Because then they've lost their backline, they don't have that much paint control, and they've lost their, like, main range. So it means that it's a lot safer for your N-Zap to go forward and paint, so then you can get in as a carbon later. Here, Maru goes in on far left, at the tip of your range, or at the tip of your paint. I guess I want to just make sure that I'm illustrating what I'm saying there. So, like, even from this range, you can still paint a little bit and make sure that, like, you're at optimal range to fight the Dapple if it starts engaging you. Same as if you're here. Like, I'd say this is a decent range to try to paint a little bit, and then maybe back up if they start engaging you. But here you move very, very far forward. And so that apple is just able to react to that, and then move really quickly into you. Because you were closer to bluing than you would have been if you were, a little bit further away from it. And, like, painting to the tip of your range is sort of what I mean. Additionally, I want to mention that in this kind of a comp where you have Slosher, Carbon, Zap, and Bow, losing your Zap is going to mean that there's no paint for the Bow, there's no paint for the Slosher, and there's no paint for the Carbon. Arguably, I would say this comp puts an extremely high amount of pressure on the Zap to paint everything and stay alive. Notice how the opponent has still weapons that need paint to really work. So especially the Dapple, to a lesser extent the Brush. But they have a Splatter Shot that's able to paint pretty well, and they have a Pencil, which is able to paint pretty well at range. And so, if, say, the Splatter Shot goes down in a trade, then they still have a Pencil that can paint somewhat. In this comp, I don't really see, like, a second painter. Or something that can rotate to become a painter. In your Haggle Rainmaker, I sort of interpreted that to be the Dually, since it can take a painty role if it needs to, even though it prefers to play sort of that Slayer role. So I guess what are the main questions when you're playing Ruler or Slosher will be, how do you get the paint on the ground so that it can function? Like, what weapons are trying to set that up? So, like, Slosher is a weapon that wants paint from other teammates to succeed. So is Carbon. And arguably a backline is as well. Or at the very least, it's not a weapon that can provide paint. And so because you have 2 weapons that need paint, and the Zap is the only thing it can, the Zap has to choose between the Ruler and the Slosher at any point in the game. And so it just makes it a lot harder for your everyone to do what they're best meant to do on their weapons because they don't have enough support. With the strikes, you all go in with it, and you're able to pick off 3. That was I like that you all went in together with a strike here. It was a good, special that when everyone saw it come out, they were all able to, collapse in on it and take space. Madu's at the tip of their range painting again, and they also jumped when they started painting, and so it meant that they couldn't escape when the dapple showed itself. If you don't know where a dapple is, if you don't know where something is that sharking, if you don't know where the brush is, or the roller, or the try, you need to make sure that you know where it is. Call it out before you go to the tip of your range to paint. If you don't know where that weapon is, that will, screw, or a 52 gal, for example. If you don't have info on where it is, then it can just pop out of the ink from literally anywhere. So communication helps out a lot, but also, I'd recommend, in solo, if you're playing, a weapon that paints decently well, or, even just a weapon that fights well, or any weapon, to be honest, before you move up, start engaging and, trying to take aggressive space, rather than, sort of playing, safely, make sure that you have information on where the opponent is. Specifically the opponents that are, most likely to be, engaging you, in, a sharky way. So, rulers, dapples, so forth. Here, because Jas was the one who took Rainmaker, Rai has to back up whenever Rain is killed. And so, even though you've went 1 down, realistically, 2 of your players have no longer been able to get anything done because it's been someone other than the well-string taking Rainmaker. Okay. So, I think the main takeaways from this will be, as a team, let Rai grab Rainmaker. When Rai is not the one who's grabbing Rain, then there are problems. If something isn't painted, if something isn't painted, playing to the tip of your range, rather than, to the, very edge of your ink, is usually, going to be safer. And so if you don't know where the opponent is, that's, a good way to, get space. Oh my god, the announcement for a big run is happening? Okay. Well. Okay, so... I was wanting to say stuff with, the training room, but that might be there for later. So, yeah. I'd recommend, having, a Rainmaker open session, or Rainmaker only scrim, where you make a rule that only Rai can grab. When that happens, if you have a situation where it will be better for someone other than Rai to take, I would recommend VOD reviewing that spot, those 15 seconds where that's relevant, and then as a group decide if that would be an exception. If it is, then keep that in mind. But if it's not, also, like, I guess it's supposed to, like, get you in the mindset of, okay, what situations in this, like, new rule set should I be grabbing Rainmaker in a, like, tournament setting? So, does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's sort of like, as a team, one of the main things I noticed. And then, for Rice specifically, I want to recommend, like, trying to get info on which weapons, are, like, the problems, or, like, the main problems or flankers. Like, hold forward weapons. Basically, which weapons are going to, like, be a problem for your team. A couple ways you can get info on, like, those threats. Like, the top HUD, can show, like, specials like Zuka, which can, be really, like, if they have a Zuka, then, just sort of calling that out instinctively, and being ready to move with it. Furthermore, checking map, lets you, sort of see which areas haven't been cleared for flanks. You don't necessarily need to be the one who clears it. Like, you could call out, like, hey, right's not painted, Corey, can you get that for us? Or, like, hey, someone watch mid from Humpback. I guess just making sure that someone is watching those, off angles is, like, it's a shot call, that I think is really useful for backlines to know. Okay, and then, let's see. Yeah, I think the main things that were killing Rai were, when Rai didn't have, a teammate defending them from the front, or a flank. So I think for now, we're focusing on flanks and sort of mitigating that threat. We'll work on the, like, having teammates with them later. Let's see, so Corey's up and Carbon. Practice substrafing and maybe play solo. Specifically, trying to overuse substrafing. So then whenever you scrim or practice later, it might, like, you might realize situations where you actually want to use that more. This is sort of with the goal of getting the habit of substrafing over squid rolling. I think mechanically that's the main thing I want you to focus on. And then, with Carbon, I don't know how often, let's see. I guess the main things I was seeing with Carbon was, like, sort of just not having enough paint on your comp, or, like, yeah, not enough paint that could really help get you in. Um, so I'm just trying to get through news so I can actually like start doing stuff in the lobby instead of sitting in the debug screen. Let's see. Yeah, I guess the main things with Zap would be like your main deaths were not having paint in front of you, and like or not having paint like around you. There was some angle that you you move forward first and then started painting, which left one of the sides unpainted. So I think like as Zap, having a habit of paint forward and then move with that paint is sort of a, it's not a bad habit to have. Okay. And then Matsu was on Stamper then Zap. I think with Stamper, focusing zip casts on their pencil and finding situations to like stall an off angle after finishing a fight. The main thing I'm thinking about is like on the bottom right after you killed the Gluga, you tried staying there. I guess that's a little minor. I think the major thing would probably be probably playing to your range. If you're playing against a weapon that you outrange, like Try or Brush, then prioritize keeping distance and just throwing out paint damage in front of you. Sort of keeping trying to keep like flat areas in between yourself and the brush try, or the weapon you outrange, rather than being at ledge or like dropping on them, since dropping is going to just mean like if they were like hugging the ledge and then you drop, then they're at their best position. And then finally with oh right, also grab Rainmaker. I think that's a habit that like could be built. And then with Jas, let's see. I think one thing we could work on would be like trying to have like awareness of who is with you, or like how many teammates are able to follow up where you are. If there are like 0 who can follow up, then prioritize poking or living, holding space, that sort of thing. Otherwise, or like if you have a teammate, then you can call out, like, I'm going in, or I'm aggressing their shot, or I'm aggressing gal, or I'm taking, like, right side, and so forth. And then your teammates will know what you're trying to do, and it's easier for them to follow up. Okay. I typed all that out, and let's see. Do you all happen to have a coach chat where I can put this instead of the VC chat?
Fair enough.
Right. Right. I'm going to stop the recording here. And I'll try to post this onto YouTube as unlisted, so then Rye can watch it back since it went here. Aside from that, yeah. Thanks all for letting me coach you. I hope this has been helpful or insightful or something like that. I don't know.
What y'all have for dinner?
But yeah, recording's going to stop here. So see you all.